Scarf's a bit of a mess. Welcome, friends, LostScarf here, and it's time for the vlog, and it's a late vlog. They keep being late because, so I've mentioned this a few times. If you're new to the vlog, then here's how it works. I do 2 months of days, then 2 months of days, then swing, then split, which is swings and graves, and then graves only. That's my life every 7 months. That's what I do. And we're in the graves right now. And because of that, I thought today was Sunday, it's Saturday. Yesterday, I thought it was Thursday. It was Friday. So, I am effed in the head right now because of all these things. I was like, I go to work at like 10. And I'm there, and I come back home at like 7 o'clock, shower and everything, then I go to bed. And I wake up at about 12 to 2 o'clock, depending on how long I can stay asleep during the daytime. And then, today I was going to go to the bank. I'm like, I'm going to go to the bank. Wait, it's 2 o'clock. Yeah, they're closed. It's Saturday. So I'm not even going to bank till Monday now. Confusing at times, because I don't pay attention, apparently, to calendars. I mentioned this before as well. Thankfully, I'm not doing graves on daylights, because on daylights, if you do grave, because it switches over at midnight, you have to work that extra hour, and you don't get paid for that extra hour. But if you work graves on the... No, I did that wrong. I said that wrong. No, you don't get paid for the extra hour. It counts as 8 hours. That's it. Because... No, I'm saying that backwards. No, it's the other way around. So you get that... No, you don't. No, you don't get paid that extra hour. You have to make it fair. You don't get paid that extra hour. And then on the other grave, I think you still get paid the 8 hours. That's how they do it. So you want to be on grave on that one. You don't want to be on grave on this one. Because this one, you work an extra hour, you only get paid 8 hours. Which sucks. It really sucks, but it is what it is. So I would definitely want to take that day off if that ever happens to me. So yeah, brain's messed up. So the way it works is I can only sleep. It's hard to sleep during the day. Sometimes I wake up at noon. So I'm only sleeping 4 hours. So I'll nap during the day. And I might catch a 20 at work as well. Maybe 2 or 3 20s at work. Don't mention that. I have a very important job. You're supposed to be awake at all times. But if you're not able to pay attention, you're probably even worse off. So sometimes naps are important anyway. Also at work. Just got to know when to do them. Because what do they put? A sleepy driver is worse than a drunk driver, which sounds insane. But yeah, okay. Yeah, it makes sense to me because your brain is not in a good place either. So what to talk about the vlog? Well, been shying away from politics for the last year because politics just keep going. Trump just keeps going, and this impeachment stuff just keeps going. And it's hard to talk about it because we only do this once a week because it just keeps getting more ridiculous with each passing day. And it's just, oh my god. Follow that on your own. That's insane. Everything about the Trump impeachment stuff is insane right now. And just everything Trump does, it's like he's trying. I swear to God, it's like he's trying to see where the bottom is. He's like a digger in Minecraft. You dig to the bottom, and you're trying to find that one hole that they forgot to fill so you can fall through the earth. That's what he's doing. That is Trump. It's so crazy. And it gets crazier and crazier, and it's harder and harder to understand people who defend him. Right now, people are defending, Trump is trying to get dirt on his opponents because he's trying to win. That's important. Winning's important. This is very not okay. Time will not look well on anyone during this period at all. At all. It's not going to look well on... Well, for her time, it's not going to look well on the Democrats when Trump won. It's not going to look well on them because of the whole Bernie and Hillary situation. It's not going to look well on Trump because, obviously, it's not going to look well on Mitch McConnell, Paul Ryan. Those guys are not, it's not going to look well on them because they did all holding back. The whole thing with Brett Kavanaugh is not going to look well. History is going to look at us pretty poorly at this time period. There's no way around that. It's really bad. But that's not what exactly I wanted to talk about. That's just, there's so much going on with that. It just keeps going, just keeps developing. What was interesting more was the Amber Guyger situation. And it's still developing as well. That's something going on as well. Amber Guyger 1 or 2 years ago, she was sleepy, mentioning sleepy again. She was sleepy, she's a cop, and she goes to the wrong apartment in her apartment complex. She sees somebody and shoots them in their own home. They try to do the defense that she was trying to defend herself. She was intruding in someone else's home. So that doesn't work. And so she gets sentenced for murder. Everyone's surprised because nobody ever believes, every time this happens, which is extremely rare, when a white person kills a black person and then gets, especially as a comp, and then gets sentenced, that's so hard to see happen. They never get convicted, pretty much. So everyone was surprised when it happened. And then on top, the next day, she gets only 10 years for murder. Not manslaughter, for murder. So that happened. But then to put on top of that is the man who was killed, whose name I forget right now, which I barely remembered Amber's name, his brother forgave her, and he hugged her, and he believes in forgiveness. He believes his brother believed in forgiveness as well. So he forgave her. A bunch of people are not happy about this, but he forgave her. He hugged her in the courtroom. The judge, also black, hugged her in the courtroom. And some point out that also one of the bailiffs or security there, also black, fixed her hair up. Like, everyone was helping her out, this white woman out, and forgiving her, treating her nicely, basically. And there's two ways this is going. You got people who are like, yeah, trying to be the bigger person, and then you got people who are mad about this because they're tired of having to be the bigger person. Because it always happens, it really does. The minority is always the one who has to be the bigger person. And because it's usually black people at this moment, black people always have to be the bigger person. And they keep having to do that. They keep having to be the bigger person because if they're not the bigger person, and then they act violently or whatever, then it reinforces all the stereotypes being done against them. So they have to be not that stereotype that is somehow being made against them. And that is going to be extremely frustrating. And someone pointed out, which was a very interesting thought on it, is the way they saw it was the brother hugging her, the judge hugging her, this guard doing her hair, fixing her up and everything, all these black people helping out the woman who murdered a black man. They saw it as conditioning, which is a scary thought as well. And I get that. I really get that thought. It's very unfortunate. Because at the end of the day, though, we want to be just humans, not about race or things like that, but just humanity. That's really what we wanted to be about, but it's not always about that now, is it? Very frustrating. And just, there's the thought there is, could you forgive someone? Because let's believe she made a mistake. It really, well, obviously, it's a mistake, but a really bad mistake. And the problem is she didn't do much remorsing is what people, for character assassination on her. She wasn't really remorseful or any of that until she got in trouble to this point. Could you forgive someone killing one of your relatives? Like one of your sibling? I don't know how you could possibly do that. As much as you can believe in Christ and love Christ, because it was also part of that, it was like, she should, the brother was like, I hope she dedicates her life to Jesus and stuff like that. Even as a good Christian, which supposed to be, you're just supposed to be the bigger person as well in that. That is a hard one. That is a hard one right there to do. Speaking on Christ, that is a hard one. That really is. Like, you got to turn the other cheek. That's a hard one when you have a lot of people who don't believe in that, who don't do that. Also, a lot of Christians who don't do that either. Unfortunately for all of us, the name of Christ has been used for very bad things. Very hypocritical things. Then to add on top of that was today. Today, one of the witness, can't remember there are other ones. The witness to this case was murdered today. He had no enemies. He was murdered in his car, or as he was coming out of his car. So hopefully police are on that. That is ridiculous. By the way, that guy was wearing a Dragon Ball Z shirt at the court. The man who was murdered, oh my god. So it's very unfortunate how race is such a thing for us. It really is. And it's always been a thing for Americans. It's not it's a thing for a lot of countries, but it's different how they do it. I swear to God, we're just really bad about it. It's probably because we're so isolated, so that our melting pot, we focus on the melting pot. Because sure, maybe some Americans don't like Canadians or Mexicans. Well, a lot of Americans don't like Mexicans, apparently. But it's not that bad compared to how much we just hate each other based on race. When you've got more Europe. Of course, there's racism there, but there's a lot of nationalist hatred as well there. Just different countries hating each other for different reasons. Well, we just got the three, basically. So we divide ourselves on race a lot more than we divide ourselves on nations. Because even then, there's a lot of melting there in Europe as well. Because, well, they're all over the place. I told the story a long time ago. A friend of mine, they're in France. And this Frenchman learned they're American since you're all a bunch of mutts. You're all just diluting your blood. You're all crap and all this stuff. It was a black Frenchman. So it was very confusing. Extremely confusing. Because when we think of French, we think of white people. So it was very confusing to see a French black man and have them complain about race mixing. Very weird. Very weird. I don't think black Frenchmen, they exist, of course. What else was there I wanted to talk about? Oh, John Kirby died. More sadness. So, the man that Kirby was named after, John Kirby died. John Kirby was instrumental. He was a lawyer for Nintendo when they were going against, I can't forget, was it Universal? I think it was Universal. Universal was suing them over Donkey Kong because King Kong, and the whole thing, I don't remember it too well now, is Universal was trying to sue them over King Kong because Universal does King Kong, and the thing is, Universal doesn't own King Kong. King Kong is goddamn public domain. So, yeah, they lost that case. And John Kirby was very helpful in that whole situation. Seriously, Universal, what the hell was that? So Kirby was named after him. So there you go. A man who helped Nintendo out in the West. Because if that case went south, I don't think we'd be seeing Nintendo here. That would have changed a lot of things. So very instrumental there. Helped a big situation there for Nintendo. And Kirby, of course, was a big helper when it came to HAL. So the name Kirby, kind of a savior, isn't it? Anything else? There's probably other things like, we're seeing quite a backlash to woke culture and cancel culture, which are two different things, I think. They do join together at times. Well, there's three things. You got woke, outrage, and cancel. I feel like outrage and woke go to cancel, while cancel can be its own thing as well, but it really stems from woke or outrage. At least that's how it feels to me. It really does. And so there are two different things. Or a bunch of different things, actually. You had Todd Phillips complain about woke culture, and I think that also led to cancel culture, where it's like, you just can't make certain jokes anymore. You can't do this or that anymore. I don't do these kind of movies or comedies anymore because woke culture. And that is stupid. And because of his bitching, I'm deflated on wanting to see the Joker. Everyone's saying it's amazing, but I'm just deflated. I'm like, I just don't want to support a jackass right now. Like my $5 matters that much. But it's always on principle, isn't it? So, all that bitching doesn't make any goddamn sense. Of course, though, comedians are really doing well complaining about cancel culture. They're making a lot of money complaining about that right now. Dave Chappelle's doing it, Bill Burr's doing it, a lot of other guys are doing it. But it's not exactly that. It's not about they can't make certain jokes. There's a little bit of that as well, but it's also about cancel culture as well, which is going to their past. But first, let's talk about woke. Todd Phillips just keeps complaining about woke culture and then ultimately also cancel culture because he's like, you can't make these certain jokes. It's like, you can make these jokes. You have that audience. The thing is, things have changed. Times have changed. You are reaching everyone now. The entire world can see your jokes now. And it's not like you're just doing a club now. Not relying just on word of mouth. Because when you're just doing a club for comedians, you're doing all these jokes, you're really funny to certain people are getting offended, that's always how it is, read the room, read the crowd, and then the people who liked it spread the word. People who don't like it, sometimes they spread the word. But more and more people, they're spreading the word, they're saying this is a funny comedian, and so more people show up for that. And when they're the headliner, those people are specifically there for that person, for that comedian. When you do specials on TV and everything, more people are seeing you. People are going to love you and people are going to hate you. People are going to hate you, they're going to comment. So are the people who are going to love you. And so what always happens? 10,000 compliments, 1 dislike. You're always going to pay attention to that 1 dislike. You're going to pay attention to that 1 comment that you did not like. Because it did not like you. How it always happens. And so comedians get mad about that. Not all of them, just some of them are complaining about it. But you also have comedians who are like, just evolve your material. If this is what's offensive now, then evolve your material, because that's what always happens. The line always changes over time. Comedians are meant to push the line, but they also need to know when they can straddle it and when they're crossing it. And a good comedian knows when they're crossing the line and they'll back off of it. Because you gotta read the room. You're not... Comedians aren't the ones who are supposed to dictate things. They're supposed to shine a lens on things, shine a light on things. They're not the ones who decide what the community gets to like and dislikes. They get to point out what the community dislikes and likes and point fun at just all the things about it. But they don't need to decide it. The community decides that at the end of the day. And that's why you read the room. Todd Phillips is not reading the room. He's like, I can't do these things. Like, those complainers are always going to exist, but you also have an audience that loves your stuff. So it's just, I just hate bitching. I guess I just hate bitching. There's a line between bitching and trying to just talk about things. I'm trying not to bitch here. I'm trying to be like, look at this kind of thing, without being funny, which is a comedian. Because I'm not funny, I suppose. Like, Dave Chappelle and Bill Burr are more against cancel culture, which is going to your past and seeing all your dumb things you've said and done, and then that ruining your present, which is a very frustrating thing. And we are seeing pushback against that these days. We are seeing people push more against that, because it's like, this is 10 years old. Like, this is 10 years ago. Or so on and so forth. Like, this is when someone was a teenager, and I want to talk about that, because name I forgot as well. Something King. God, Carson King? Don't think that's his name. Maybe. This is more I learned from Philip Frank because I was watching it. But this is just another point of it, and this is why we're seeing it get pushed back, is this dude, what he did was, he's like, hey, here's on like TV in the background, it's like, here's my Venmo, I need beer money, people send a bunch of money, and so he's like, okay, a lot of people send money, let me turn this into a charity thing. So he's like, okay, send me money, we'll do it for a charity. And he raised like $2-something million for a charity. Some newspaper just doing a profile on him, they looked in his background and everything, and they found 2 offensive tweets from him from when he was a teenager. So that was like 6 years ago when he was 16, he's 22 now. And they're like, we found these offensive tweets, and what do you have to say about that? And he apologizes for that. He gets ahead of it. He talks to other newspapers saying, I apologize for these tweets and things like that. And that all happened there. And people were just pushing back on it, because it's like, he was 16 years old. Everyone's a dipshit at 16. He's a better person now. I could say the same thing for just any dumb thing anyone said 10 years ago. They're gonna most likely be a better person now. They could still be shitty. They could be. But the hope is that they're a better person. And so that happened. The guy gets ahead of it and everything. And then people were like, okay, so if you're doing that, and then they looked into the journalist's background, they found a bunch of racist tweets from him, actually using the N-word, which is not good. And then that guy gets fired from his job. So it's just, cancel culture was also getting utilized there. But it was like, well, here's hypocrisy and all that stuff with that. Like, I'm tired of going after something someone did so long ago and then using it on them now. For me, this is a bad hill to die on because of parts of it, but was it Justin Trudeau? Like, what was it 10, 12, 16 years ago? He did blackface because he dressed up as an Arab, I believe. I think he was Aladdin. He dressed up as Aladdin. That was 16 years ago. And he's like, that's not the only time he did blackface. He did it a few more times. And he was dressing up as characters doing blackface. Not the best thing. But this is years before what he is now. Way before. And they're trying to use that for the present. And I just can't be arsed at all. I just don't care. I really don't. And you can be like, he maybe... And it was the Asian version of it. He did slanty eyes. Or he did fake tattoos of Islander stuff. Or any of that offensive stuff for island people or Asian people. I don't care because that was 16 years ago. Or 12 years ago. 10 years ago. No one's that anymore. There are stupid shit I did for damn sure when I was a teenager that I would freaking be angry about now. For sure. With my... Look, things I did back then, I don't do now, and I hate that I did them. And if they came back to bite me in the ass, then yeah, that really sucks. Because I'm not that person anymore. And that's the way I keep thinking about it with other people. Like, they're not that person anymore. And the hypocrisy of it over and over again is everyone's shittier when they were younger because they don't understand the world as much. Some people do get even worse over time. But we're all dumber as we were. Some of you are teenagers. You're really stupid right now. As smart as you are, you're really stupid at the same time. Because I was there, I was stupid at the same time as well. Straight A 4.0 student doesn't mean I had wisdom, doesn't mean I was all that smart in other things. I was a dipshit in a lot of ways despite having a 4.0, because academics isn't everything. You could be a very good egg in a lot of ways, and you could have some stupid ideas at the same time. That's how all of us are. And as teenagers, I think we have a lot more of that. So it's really weird to come back on someone like that. Even in your 20s, you're going to do some dumb things as well. Probably less, hopefully. And that'll come back to bite you when you're 30 and 40. But you're still evolving and getting smarter. Still becoming something better and greater. So, I don't know. I really don't know. There are things you can be forgiven for. There are things you can get better for. There are things you can't, of course. I'd say murder is one. I'd say rape is another, for God's sakes. Obviously crimes. Crimes. Crimes are bad. Let's stop. Those are the things I want to talk about because they were just things I was reacting to this week. Positives. Oh, life's going pretty well-ish, I guess, besides my back problems and all that. Life's not going that well, actually. It's pretty rough right now, but I'm keeping on. That's what's important. Keep on keeping on. Hope everyone's doing well, and that's going to be the vlog. I don't have any big thing. I think I really am just shining light on what I think on a bunch of things, and I don't know. Oh, real quick, something very not important. Something not important. Scorsese. Scorsese's like, comic book movies are just theme parks. They're not movies. They're not cinematography. He's like, are you kidding my dick right now? Because there's amazing shots in a lot of these movies. There's amazing moments in a lot of these movies. There's some really good stuff there. We haven't really done much drama, and apparently, well, there's some drama, but not like full-on drama. I think, honestly, yeah, if Infinity War doesn't change your mind, if nothing else will, because Infinity War was an amazing movie for sure. Did a lot of things there. And the other way people took it was, I like theme parks. Theme parks are awesome. No problem with that. But the thing is, there are a lot of people dismissing Scorsese or saying Scorsese's jealous. You can dismiss Scorsese, sure. Saying he's jealous is a stupid thing to say. But I don't really think... Scorsese's earned the right to have an opinion. Just like Robert Ebert earned the right to have an opinion that video games aren't art. Doesn't mean they're correct. Roger Ebert was wrong. Scorsese is wrong. They're both wrong. And even if you think they're right, well, then the other argument to that is, well, their opinions don't matter, obviously. Whose opinion actually matters at the end of the day? I think expert opinions, of course, those are facts, but facts and opinions, said that wrong. Expert opinions are good, important when it comes to things like, I don't know, medical things and things like that, but something when it comes to the arts. Opinions are opinions at the end of the day. And we know why Scorsese's talking about this, because people were asking Scorsese questions about Joker, most likely, because Joker is a love letter to Scorsese, for damn sure. Or it's like, well, Todd Phillips is in love with Scorsese's work, like, pretty much. So there's so much Scorsese in there. So if you're a big fan of Scorsese, you'll just notice all these things about Scorsese that are in this. So that's obviously why Scorsese was mentioning comic book movies, because he was getting asked about Joker. And he sees them as theme parks, not as cinematography. Not as cinema. Which is just such an old man thing to say, honestly. Video games are art, and comic book movies are cinema. They are amazing. They can do some great things. Love or hate some of these DC movies, they've had amazing cinematography. Amazing shots. Zack Snyder has one of the best director eyes when it comes to one of the best camera eyes ever. His movies just suck because he doesn't understand his characters. He doesn't understand Batman, he doesn't understand Superman, he doesn't understand anything, which is very frustrating. You want to know what's next, what Zack Snyder is? You watch, was it Sucker Punch? Or was it, yeah, Sucker Punch. You like Sucker Punch. That's Zack Snyder. That's why it wasn't so great. He's just got amazing camera work. Most of what he's done is adaptations. I think Sucker Punch is only original, I think. Because 300 was an adaptation. Watchmen was an adaptation. Obviously, Batman and Superman are adaptations. Like, there you go. Scorsese's wrong after all. Alright, so that is the vlog right there. I had fun talking. Hope you have fun watching and listening. And that's what it's all about, is it? Having fun. Thanks for coming by, and see you next time.